Once again, a very hearty welcome to the English world of Aradhya. Myself Rashmin sir, teaching English to the students of 9 to 12 standard in English medium. Students, today we will take your first poem. Okay, first poem, again there are two poems in the first poem and both are written by Robert Frost. Now Robert Frost, many of you may know, he is basically known as a nature poet of America. The nature poet of England is William Wordsworth. So William Wordsworth has got a vast popularity as a nature poet, but that is in English literature. In American literature, Robert Frost. Okay, so both these poems are quite meaningful. Okay, I'll just read out the poem for you. Your first poem is Dust of Snow. Okay, it is a very short poem, but it is a very meaningful poem. Okay, in our modern life, students, we get so much busy in our routine life that we hardly pay any attention to the nature. And through this poem, Robert Frost is trying to tell us that nature is the best healer. Okay, so I'll read out the poem and then we'll do the explanation. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from the hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rode. Understood, students? So here your poem gets over. Okay, there are 8 lines. Altogether we can see there is entire poem has just one line. Understood? One sentence. But here it is arranged in 8 different lines. Okay, so let me explain to you right from the beginning. The way a crow shook down on me. So crow, you know, is a bird. Normally crow is considered very inauspicious. Whenever crow starts cawing, then what do we understand? Some guest would come. That is the Indian belief. Okay, crows are fed on certain days. So here, students, you see, crow is considered as an inauspicious bird. And what has he done? He has shaken down on the poet. The poet maybe was standing under that tree or sitting under that tree. What is the name of the tree? That is also mentioned over here in the 4th line. What he has shaken down, that is the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. So when you read the first stanza, it is quite clear that crow has done a particular action. On the tree there was a dust of snow, and when crow sat on it, the branch moved a bit, and because of that, that snow collected on the branch of the tree fell on the poet. Okay, so he has done only this much task. The tree mentioned over here is hemlock tree. Now hemlock tree is a poisonous plant. It's a poisonous tree with white flowers. It almost looks like a Christmas tree. Here the tree has white flowers, but the tree itself is poisonous. So you remember, the poet has not mentioned any other tree like oak tree, maple tree, pine tree. These trees are mostly you will find in the English poetry. But here Robert Frost has taken hemlock tree. So he has a particular intention behind that. At this time the poet was sad. The poet was feeling some sort of sorrow. He was very much tensed. So the tree also matches his mood. Okay, if the tree is shown very lively, then you see there will be contrast between tree and his mood. But here this poisonous tree very well just matches the mood of the poet. Okay, and as a result, what has happened, that we will come to know in the second stanza. When the snow or dust of snow fell onto the author, what happened to the author? That we will see in the second stanza. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rode. Understood? So the falling of the snow has done 2 things. One, it has changed the mood of the poet. Poet was in some sad mood. So when something fell on him, his attention was diverted from his mood to the surrounding nature. Okay, and that surrounding nature was so lovely that poet's mood was changed. Okay, and because of that, what happened? Because of that, second thing it did was, and saved some part of a day I had rode. So some part of the day the poet has already spoiled because he was tensed, he was going through some sorrow, some sadness. So that part he had already spoiled, but the remaining part of the day was saved because now he is enjoying the nature around him. Earlier he was not noticing that, but this dust of snow just drew his attention to the surrounding nature, which was so lovely. Understood? That is what the poem is trying to tell us. Ki nature is the best healer. If we have any worries, if we have any other tension, if we go to nature, if you go to some lovely landscape, you see, you will forget all your worries. As soon as you reach such a nice, beautiful place, the first few words that will come out of your mouth would be, what a beautiful scenery, how beautiful it is. So for the time being, you forget all your worries and tensions, students. So here, the poet was so much occupied with his worries that he did not pay attention to the nature, this lovely nature. But the dust of snow did that work. So dust of snow transformed the mood of the poet. Understood? So the poem is that much only. Now we will see the question answers of it. Students, first question. What is the dust of snow? Okay. What does the poet say has changed his mood? How has the poet's mood changed? Okay. So dust of snow, students, is such a thing which transforms the mood of the poet. So we can say dust of snow is a transformer which changes the mood of the poet by shaking the dust of snow on the poet. Okay, that is the answer of that question. Second question, how does Frost present nature in this poem? Okay, the following questions may help you to think of an answer. What are the birds that are usually named in the poems? So normally you will see the birds cuckoo, okay, peacock. In Indian poetry you will find mostly peacock, nightingale, seagulls. These are the birds that are normally now presented in the poem, but here crow is presented. Crow is a rare bird which you would find in the poetry. Do you think a crow is often mentioned in the poems? No, it is not. What images come to your mind when you think of a crow? So normally we consider crow as an inauspicious bird. When we hear the sound of the crow, we normally feel that now something bad will happen or some guest will come. So guests come means again you are facing some troubles. Okay, you will have to please the guest. You may not have time. You may have some important work. At that time, how can you entertain the guest? So crow, that's why is considered as an inauspicious bird. Okay, and it is also considered that an omen is brought by the crow. Okay, now next question. Again, what is a hemlock tree? So hemlock tree, as I told you, is a poisonous plant with white flowers, small white flowers. Okay. Why doesn't the poet write about a more beautiful tree such as a maple or an oak or a pine? Because here he has to match the mood, his sad mood. So that's why background also he creates what? Some sad sort of background. So this poisonous tree very well matches the mood of the poet, sad mood of the poet. And that's why, students, the poet has not mentioned any other trees like pine, maple, oak. All these trees are not mentioned. Okay. What do the crow and hemlock represent? So, joy or sorrow? So both are what? Inauspicious in a way. One tree is poisonous, bird is inauspicious. So both normally present sorrow. Okay. Represent sorrow. What does the dust of snow that the crow shakes off a hemlock tree stand for? So dust of snow stands for a transformer, because that is the thing which transforms the mood of the poet. When the dust of snow fell on the poet, it touched the poet, then poet's attention was drawn to the surrounding nature, which was so lovely, and that only changed the poet's mood. So we can say the dust of snow is nothing but a transformer. Okay. Now, yeah. Have there been times when you felt depressed or hopeless? Have you experienced a similar moment that changed your mood that day? So students, that you'll have to write your own experience if you have got such a bad mood and something changed your mood. But remember, like those questions won't be asked. So students, that's where the question answers are over. Now let me quickly tell you the figures of speech. The figures of speech in the first line, the way a crow shook down on me. So crow represents, the way a crow shook down on me. If we take these two lines, then you see the crow represents what? The crow represents an omen. It is considered as an inauspicious bird. So the figure of speech over here is metonymy. Okay. Second, shook down on me. The dust of snow. So dust of snow also represents what? That is considered as a transformer. That is the thing that transforms the mood of the poet. So dust of snow also stands for the transformer. So that also we can say it is also metonymy. Okay. Students, from a hemlock tree. Now hemlock tree also represents an omen. That is also considered an inauspicious tree. So that also is metonymy, students. Just remember, because it is poisonous tree and it very well matches the mood of the poet. So that's why it is also metonymy. Now has given my heart. Now again you see in the first line only, has given my heart, has and heart. So it is alliteration. And heart is a body part. So you can say it is synecdoche. Okay. And the falling of the dust of snow has given my heart. So that is quality given to the dust of snow. So that's why it is personification. Okay. A change of mood. So both the lines you take together. Okay, dust of snow has given my heart a change of mood. So that's why dust of snow is given the human quality of giving. So it is personification. And has and heart, both the words represent the sound H. So it is alliteration. Heart stands for the body part. So it is what? A synecdoche. Because not only heart, the entire poet was changed. His mood was changed. And saved some part of a day I had ruled. Again in this line you see saved and some. Both the words are used to refer to the S sound. S sound is created through those two words. So that's why it is alliteration. Okay. And saved some part of a day I had ruled. Again a part of the day, that is synecdoche. They are not talking about the entire day but a part of a day. So it is synecdoche. So all those are the figures of speech, students, in this particular poem. Now we will see your second poem in this chapter only. The title of the second poem is Fire and Ice. Okay. So students, just get ready for the second poem. So I'll read out the poem, students. That is also quite interesting poem. Okay. It talks about the two possibilities, how the world can end. What are the views of the people? Some people feel that the world will end through fire, and some people feel that the world will end through ice. But here both are symbolic also. Okay. Let's read out the poem. Some say the world will end in the fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Okay. So that much is your poem, students. But again here this poem also talks about the two different ways the world can end. Okay. Earlier also, students, you see many prophets have just foretold about the end of the earth. And in the past, if you see, though in the past, especially in the Bible, it is mentioned that the God got very angry with the people and he decided to end the world. So how he ended the world? He brought Jad Pralay on the earth. He had asked the righteous person. So that time righteous person was only one, Noah. So Ark of Noah. Okay, like that movie is also there, Hollywood movie. You can just watch it. So he told Noah to take one pair of all the living creatures. Okay, animals, birds, insects, everybody. One pair of everyone. And first asked him to make a huge boat, which was known as Ark. Okay, ark means boat, the boat of Noah. And then he asked him, you build a big ark and in that you take one pair of every living creature, one male, one female, because I want to end this world and I want to create a new world. So I'll bring torrential rain, torrential water on the earth. Okay, and because of that water, entire earth will sink in that. Land part will sink in that. But if you are in boat, your boat will keep floating. So whoever is there in the boat, those people will be saved. So he brought like that Jal Pralay for 40 days. For 40 days, all these creatures lived in that ark only. Okay, afterwards, after 40 days, when the rain, water level went down, so Noah sent one crow. The crow did not come back. Noah waited for about 5-7 days, but the crow did not come back. Then he sent one pigeon. The pigeon came back with a piece of grass. So from that only Noah just assumed that now the water level has gone down and grass has grown on the land. So now we can safely come out of the ark. Understood? That's how he just ended the world. But if you talk about the present day condition, you see students, most of the countries of the world, big countries I am talking about, all of them possess nuclear weapons. And the power of nuclear weapons is such, I read somewhere, that at present world possesses so much nuclear power that the world can be finished 50 times. Here the poet is talking about just 2 times. But the countries of the world has so much nuclear power, atomic powers, that the world can be ended 50 times. So that is a very dangerous, risky thing. We are all living in such a risky world. Okay, they can use biological weapons also, chemical weapons also. So biological weapon you can already see, you have experienced that in the form of corona, entire world is affected. Okay, but here the poet talks about fire and ice. Ice means the melting of the glaciers and increasing of the water level on the earth. So all the things will sink in that. Understood? Along with the human beings. So ice can end this world, fire can end this world. Fire here means arms and ammunitions, literal meaning. But it has some symbolic meaning also, that we will see in the poem. Okay, some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. So here you see the difference of opinions. Some people opine that the world will end in fire. They are aware about the arms and ammunitions all the countries have, the nuclear weapons all the countries have. So if the third world war breaks out, the world might end through all this fire. Okay, some say in ice, some say that the global warming is increasing day by day, and because of that the big glaciers on the polar regions are also melting. Okay, ice on the mountains also is melting. So because of that the water level in the sea also increases. So once it comes out, then all the land part may submerge in the water. So that way the end of the earth might come. So some people have that view. Now from what I have tasted of desire, Yani Robert Frost, he has experienced this thing. What he has experienced that how desirous people are. Okay, people's desires have gone very high. They want to possess everything. One need gets over and another is there. Okay, so they want to satisfy all their wants, all their needs, and because of that those desires are there, and those desires only make them more and more greedy, and that greediness only just takes them to lead any sort of life. Most of the people, they lead what? Very corrupt life. They don't hesitate to go for any sort of corruption, and because of that they don't think of the other fellow beings. So when there is no love, no affection for the other fellow beings, what will happen? you will not worry whether the other fellow beings live or die. And this is the one way of bringing end to the world, ki having more and more desires. So to satisfy your desires, you are ready to do any illegal act. And because of that only, other people become victims of that. Understood? So students, here the same thing is talked about. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. Okay? So writer is going to take the side of those who favor fire. So writer also feels that because he takes fire here in a symbolic way. And symbolic way is fire means the desires of the people. And that's why he has experienced that people have become very desirous. They have many desires to fulfill. And in fulfilling only they become very greedy. So that's why poet takes their side. But if it had to perish twice, now poet says that if the world is going to end second time, then what will happen? I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. So the poet says that if it is to end second time, then ice is also enough. Okay, ice is also enough for the destruction of the entire earth. And ice over here means hatred. Hatred that we have for the other human beings. Okay, sometimes we go on the road and something we notice, but we don't go to help them. Why? Because we have certain sort of hatred for the particular person or particular community. And that's why we don't worry whether they live or they die. We don't bother about that. So here, that's why it is said that hatred also can be a cause for the destruction of the earth. Okay, as a human being, we have to think about the welfare, our own welfare, as well as the welfare of the others. But when you have hate for a particular person or particular community, means you never think good of them. You always think bad of them because you hate them. Okay, sometimes in a family when there is a quarrel between two brothers, then also one brother will think ill of the another brother. Because now he has developed hatred for his brother. So students, this hatred only can become the cause for the end of the earth. Okay, earlier in the history, if you see, many European country students ruled over the countries of Asia and Africa. And they had a strong dislike, strong hate for the African people, Asian people. Okay, they would go on punishing them in any way. Okay, so you see students, this hate only can bring the end of the earth. That is what the poet says in the second stanza. Okay, so that's where students the poem is over. Here normally you don't have any question, but few qualities are given below. You can see in the textbook only. Second question, for Frost, what do fire and ice stand for? So as I told you, fire stands for desire and ice stands for hatred. So here are some ideas. So greed, students, stand for fire. Avarice, that is also a sort of greed, so that stands for fire. Cruelty, that you can say cruelty you can show when you hate your enemy. So cruelty we will take as a form of ice. Okay, lust is also a form of greed, so that stands for fire. Then conflict will occur only when you hate your fellow beings, so that is ice. Okay, fury is a form of fire. Intolerance, that is also a form of fire. Okay, rigidity, so you become very rigid because you hate the other people so much, so that is also a form of ice. Okay, insensitivity, you are insensitive to your fellow beings, so that is ice, that is hatred. Okay, then coldness, that is also a form of ice because you don't like that community or you don't like those people. Indifference, that is also a form of ice, and hatred also stands for ice. Okay, students, now the second question, what is the rhyme scheme of the poem? How does it help in bringing out the contrasting ideas in the poem? Okay, so students, rhyme scheme you can identify by looking at the sound of the last word. Here you see in the first line fire, so that is one sound A. Ice is not like fire. आयर साउंड है तो वो ए ही लिखेंगे, पर यहाँ साउंड आइस दूसरा होता है, सो वी विल राइट बी. देन अगेन यू सी थर्ड लाइन डिजायर एंड फायर, फोर्थ लाइन फायर. सो फायर, desire, air sound is same, so all those words we will give a, where the sound changes there we will give b. So in the first stanza you have rhyme scheme a b a. Similarly in the second stanza you see twice, hate, ice, great, suffice. So here after every line the sound changes. Twice, ice and suffice are same, so all these three we will give a. And hate and great, those two have 8 sound, so it is B. So the rhyme scheme in the second stanza is A B A B A. Understood? Now figures of speech. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. So two contrasting idea in the first line only, so it is antithesis. Some say is repeated, so it is repetition. Okay. Some say S sound is repeated, so it is alliteration. Okay, students. Then desire. Here fire stands for desire, so that is metonymy also, or you can say fire is compared with desire directly, so it is metaphor also. And in the second stanza you see, but if it had to perish twice, so ये कुछ ज़्यादा ही बोल दिया. अभी एक दफ़ा वर्ल्ड का एंड आएगा कि नहीं, that also is a big question mark. And here he talks about 2 times, so it is hyperbole. Okay, I think I know enough of hate, so I word is repeated, that's why it is repetition. Okay. And hate stands for ice, so that is also metonymy. Then you have to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. So ice and suffice, those two words are rhyming, so you can say that is internal rhyming. Okay. And here again that and great, those two words also have the same sound, so you can say it is internal rhyme. Ice stands for hate, so it is metonymy, or ice is compared with hate, so it is metaphor. So those are the figures of speech, student, in this particular poem. I hope you have understood both the poems well, and I am sure that you can write down the question answers also or figures of speech also very nicely. Thank you and have a nice day.